This episode is supported by FX's The Shards, a seductive drama from executive producer Ryan Murphy. Set in 1980s Los Angeles, the series follows a group of glamorous, deeply entangled high school seniors drawn to a life of wealth, beauty, parties, and excess. At its center is Brett, whose reality begins to unravel when the arrival of a new student coincides with a series of mysterious murders. FX's The Shards premieres August 5th on FX and Hulu. These long dog days of summer, we just made it through a heat wave. Mama was parched through this heat wave. I was hitting up Dunkin' every single day, and I will continue to, probably for the rest of my days, but especially this summer. Dunkin' is helping everyone stay cool this summer with its lineup of refreshers. These drinks are packed with bold, fruity flavors and served ice cold. It's amazing. Dunkin' refreshers are the perfect afternoon pick-me-up. I like to start my morning with them personally, and then sometimes I go back for a second one because I'm just feeling crazy. They come in a variety of delicious flavors, including fan favorites mango pineapple and strawberry dragon fruit. And then for a limited time, there's black cherry and there's pink pineapple. I'm going to tell you something right now, and it's a bold claim, let me tell you, but I stand behind it. Pink pineapple will change your life. It is so good. It has me feeling like I'm sitting in a pool, resort side, just living, honey. It's so yummy. Try your favorite flavor with green tea, sparkling water, lemonade, or Dunkin's all-new limeade. I haven't tried the limeade yet, but I'm going to. Usually I get my drinks made with green tea and occasionally lemonade, but I do really like the green tea. Or if you don't want to build your own, try one of Dunkin's curated refreshers like the Cherry Lime Ricky or the Ultimate Pink Daydream. The Cherry Lime Ricky, scrumptious. I could drink like 3 of these a day. They're so freaking yummy. Head to Dunkin' today and find your favorite refresher. Dunkin' refreshers contain less than 1% fruit juice. Limited time offer. You know what's really terrifying? That unfinished college degree lurking in the background, just sitting there waiting for you. That's where Southern New Hampshire University comes in. With flexible online degree programs, there's no commuting, no rigid schedule, and no more excuses. Plus, they have some of the lowest online tuition rates in the U.S. Visit snhu.edu/morbid to learn more before your degree becomes just another story about what could have been. Hey, weirdos, I'm Ash.
And I'm Elena.
And this is Morbid.
This is Morbid, and we're going back to the 18 motherfucking hundreds today.
Oh, it's old-timey.
I haven't done it in a little bit.
Let's
in a minute.
fucking go.
I haven't been in the 1800s for a minute.
Let's go.
And this one's crazy.
Tell
y'all.
me, sister.
First of all, it really upset me today because ICE used a 5-year-old kid as bait.
There is actually, people don't know if he's 5 or if he's 4.
Okay. A tiny little...
I've seen
beautiful boy
both.
in his little backpack with a bunny hat
blue
on.
little hat.
And if those images don't fuck your entire world up, then I don't understand your life.
No.
So just wanted to start with that.
The thing is, I think a good ass majority of people are upset. I think people who are not upset are luckily in the minority, but it's wild that they exist.
Yeah, because I can't imagine looking at the photos of that little boy standing there with his little backpack, knocking on his front door while an ICE agent is literally crouched next to him.
Yeah, waiting to ruin his entire family's life.
I don't understand looking at that and not feeling anything. So I just had to get that out because that image has really... a lot of things has bothered me, but that one just really got me today.
Yeah, that's definitely something that would get you.
So yeah, fuck that shit. And I really hope everything gets better, man. And if you're in Maine right now, hang tight. I hope you guys are all right there. And
if you're in the South, good luck with this storm.
Yeah, that's the other thing. There's a fucking huge winter storm happening. And I know we're going to be getting, like, up here in Massachusetts, we're going to get
mostly just
a lot of snow. But I think in the South, it's going to be, like, a ton of ice storms.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think there's going to be a ton of power outages, so just be careful.
Yeah, it's going to be gnarly, so.
Hopefully everybody... I keep seeing people being like, And like meteorologists and shit saying it's like a once in a generation type of storm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
That's insane.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
So stock up if you can.
Get the
on
bread
what
and the
you
milk.
Get the bread and the milk.
It's not a joke. Really do it.
Actually,
get the bread and the
milk.
milk.
And get some water and all that good stuff. Stock up if you can.
Yeah, get a few gallons.
And yeah, I hope we come back next week and we're like,
That wasn't that bad.
That was a fun little winter storm. We're all right.
And maybe ice will be abolished once that's over.
Once ice will melt.
Yeah.
So that's
all of the ice
will melt away. That's what we hope. But yeah, so I just had to mention that adorable little boy, and we wanted to tell you to be safe in the winter storm that's a coming.
Yeah.
And also, Ghost is touring again right now.
Oh,
we're supposed to go to a show, and I really hope that they are. I hope they're being safe when they travel, because they're kind of traveling like with the storm.
They're in the eye of the storm.
So be careful, Ghost.
Yeah,
if you're listening, Ghost, as a whole, be careful.
I know.
But yeah, I think that's really all the updates. Unless you got anything.
Harry Styles is releasing new music tomorrow.
Well, there you go.
Hello?
There you go. What's the name of the album?
Kiss all the time, disco occasionally.
That's a great name.
Great name, great advice, words to live by.
There you go.
Kiss all the time.
Disco occasionally. You didn't get to see this, but Ash did a disco move while she said that.
Yeah, you better disco occasionally. And I don't know, I don't know if they said the song name that's being released tomorrow, but I have a doctor's appointment in the morning, and that's gonna sing me there.
It's gonna get you ready.
Let's go.
Like it. See, that's a good thing.
Yeah, Harry.
That's positive.
Harry.
I'm
so excited.
Well, you know who we're gonna talk about right now? That's completely the opposite of Harry Styles.
A woman named Lizzie.
Lizzie Halliday.
That's all I knew.
Also known as the worst woman on earth.
The worst woman on earth.
Literally deemed the worst woman on earth.
I feel like so many women, probably including ourselves, have been deemed the worst woman on earth.
It's true.
But she might be.
Lizzie, she's a good contender.
Okay, all right.
She's up there.
You don't feel like we're good contenders?
But I feel like, honestly, we're all good contenders, you know? But you know what? She was known as the worst woman on earth and ended up being the first woman ever to be sentenced to die in the electric chair.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Sentenced.
I heard that.
Yeah, you heard that little emphasis. So let's get into this, shall we?
We shall, bitch.
So Lizzie Halliday, who was she?
I don't know.
Who was Lizzie?
I only know the two things you just told me so far.
Well, she was born Eliza McNally.
Make that 3.
So she was born Eliza McNally in County Antrim, Ireland in 1864.
Ooh, an Irish.
We got an Irish.
I don't know why I rolled it.
I liked it. Lizzie was one of 9 children. Her parents were John and Pam McNally. The McNallys decided to leave Ireland for the U.S. after dealing with more than a decade of the potato famine and the oppressive British occupation in Ireland. So they said bye. They arrived in Philadelphia in 1867, and they left part of their family in Ireland, which was very common.
Yeah.
And they were hoping to make enough money that they could send for the rest of their family.
Yeah, I feel like that happens so frequently.
So often. Now, once they got there, John McNally found a job as a laborer, and Pam got a job as a barmaid in a pub owned by family friends, the McQuillans. They'll come back.
Irish.
Remember them.
Okay, McQuillans.
They were actually doing pretty well financially, but they were working their butts off. And with this influx of income, they were able to send for the rest of their children to come live with them pretty quickly, which was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, within a few years, John and Pam had not only saved enough money to bring all their family over from Ireland, but also to relocate them to a less densely populated region of the Northeast, eventually settling in Newburgh, New York in 1872.
All right.
They had a home. Moves. Yeah, they had a home that was not far from the McQuillans, who also relocated to that area.
I remembered them.
Remember them. Continue to remember them.
I will.
Now, newly arrived in the United States, Lizzie, who was then known as Maggie.
Okay.
So her name is Eliza, called Lizzie, also known as Maggie.
Makes sense.
Yeah. She focused hard on her schooling, and, she really helped her parents out around the house. She was great that way. And by the time she was 14, she started dating Nathaniel McQuillan.
Okay.
But they broke up sometime in 1879 when the McNallys relocated again.
Damn, they do be moving.
They do. They ended up moving further up the river into the Hudson Valley in Greenwich, which was a small village along the border with Vermont. At this point, Lizzie had finished her schooling and was now pretty much expected to find work to help support the family or go find a husband and settle down and start her own family. Lizzie decided she wanted to go out and find work for herself.
Okay.
So she started a series of jobs, mainly as a domestic worker for some of the wealthier families in the area. Now, this is when some behaviors began to emerge that now would likely be recognized as symptoms of a severe mental illness.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's like late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
Checks.
According to author Kevin Owen, some relatives and employers reported at times she would make poor choices and destructive decisions which would alienate her employers, her family, and everyone she came into contact with.
So everyone.
Yeah.
So all of the
literally
people.
all the people.
Okay.
In a report given to the press after Lizzie's arrest, one of her former employers told the press that Lizzie's employment started well and she performed like pretty satisfactorily, but at the end of the third week, quote, something went wrong with the baking. The employer called Maggie's attention to it mildly, whereupon she flew into a violent passion, using vile language to her mistress, whom she threatened to have arrested at once.
Whoa.
Yeah.
She said, I made it nice.
She did. Now, according to a lawyer familiar with her behavior at the time, he said, quote, she seemed to know the difference between right and wrong, but was quite indifferent as to which turned up first.
That's scary.
And that's the thing. She is very mentally ill.
Yeah,
like that is
sane.
clear through this. But you can tell she makes moves that are very cunning and are very much used to keep herself from being caught.
Right.
So there is that idea that she is sane, but she's got a severe mental illness for sure. She would often get fired for things like stealing or violent or verbally abusive behavior. She even threatened a child with a knife.
Oh my God, Lizzie Maggie.
For unknown reasons, Lizzie Maggie.
Fuck?
And at the time, Lizzie's relationship with her family also, as you can probably guess, started to deteriorate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy.
I was thriving.
According to her brother John, quote, she was inclined so much to quarreling that the family all disowned her. She could not stay in a place any time when working out on account of her violent temper. So later down the line, after she was arrested and put on trial, which we'll get to, more information about Lizzie's behavior during this period started to come to light.
Okay.
Painting a very scary but very sad picture of a woman who was clearly losing her grip on reality and losing her ability to control her increasingly aggressive behavior.
Okay.
On top of this, her work was tied to her place to live because she was a domestic worker. So if she was fired, she was kicked out of the home and needed to find somewhere to stay. She got fired a lot.
Yeah.
So a lot of instability here. And that doesn't help mental health either.
No, of course not.
When she was evicted in 1879, her sister Martha said, Maggie from this time on became so reckless in her conduct, especially in her dealings with men, that her employer had to deny her the house, leaving her both unemployed and homeless.
Damn, that's sad.
So she couldn't hold a job for very long. I mean, the thing is, like, she was clearly mentally ill, but like I said, she was also being very destructive. I mean, very aggressive and very violent to people.
She's going after children with knives.
Yeah,
so like that's not great.
You're getting kicked out for a reason.
Right.
Like,
it's not like they just don't like her.
Exactly. Now, she couldn't hold a job for very long, so she sought out the only viable path for women in the late 19th century. And in 1879, she married Charles Hopkins, a carpenter who was very much older than her.
Oh.
She was 20 years old at the time. There's not a lot that's known about the marriage or really Hopkins himself, because again, this is a long time ago. But it is believed from some digging that he was a deserter from the British Army who was living under the name Keatspool Brown when he and Lizzie married.
Alrighty.
Although he did officially make his living as a carpenter, Kevin Owens, who we will link in the show notes, he said he also had a history of shady and criminal behavior. And in one instance, he romanced a local married woman and convinced her to steal money from her employer for him.
Damn.
He ended up receiving $200 from the women in the 1800s.
That's a lot of money.
And then just skipped out on the relationship.
Oh, so he was only romancing her for himself?
Oh, yeah.
For his own shit?
So after her arrest and incarceration later, Lizzie explained that Hopkins, quote, always had some woman coming about and visiting with whom he had once been acquainted.
Oh, that's shitty.
Hopkins was making it seem like he was just manipulating these women for money, but he was also trying to make Lizzie feel like it wasn't a mistress situation, which
but it clearly
was pretty much both.
Yeah.
But either way, Lizzie was clearly understandably very jealous of this. Curiously, and a little suspiciously, Hopkins' acquaintance there the woman, was found dead in her bed not long after this began.
Hello, 911?
Yeah.
I'd like to report a tip.
She was found with a bottle of poison on the nightstand beside her. And under the circumstances, the death was ruled a suicide, but no note was ever found.
Weird.
And aside from the position by the bed, there was no other evidence to indicate she had taken her own life.
Ooh, I don't like that.
And when you look at what Lizzie does later, it's a little interesting.
Oh, so it could have been Lizzie.
It could have been either one, I think.
Oh,
So,
shit.
like, it could have been Charles or it could have been Lizzie.
Damn.
Now, in interviews, Lizzie frequently referred to Hopkins as, quote, a bad man. And following the death of his mistress, he, quote, was never happy afterwards. And I heard him say often he was tired of living.
Oh.
So it was like he was just manipulating her for money, huh?
Yeah.
Which that makes me think.
It was Lizzie, perhaps.
Now, whatever.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Don't come after us, Lizzie.
Yeah, Lizzie from the 1800s. Whatever the case, Hopkins and Lizzie were married, and Lizzie became pregnant pretty soon after.
Oh, I don't love that just because of the situation that we have at hand.
Yeah, and she eventually gave birth to a boy, Charles Jr. And she appears to have possibly suffered from either postpartum depression or maybe just a worsening of her like symptoms that she already had.
Yeah.
According to her sister Martha, she never, and this is a quote, she never acted right after her boy was born. She acted so strangely that sometimes I would be frightened. I didn't know what ailed her. Because obviously they didn't know anything
Yeah,
of
that's
this.
scary.
During this period, Lizzie claimed to experience, among other things, quote, singing in her ears and seeing lights around the house that no one else could see.
That feels like more than just postpartum.
Yeah, seems like psychosis.
Yeah.
Now, Lizzie claimed that throughout their marriage, Hopkins was physically and verbally abusive, frequently threatening her life. And in 1881, Hopkins died from what Lizzie claimed was typhoid fever, but there was no evidence to support that claim.
Oh, no.
Following her arrest, Lizzie was emphatic in her insistence that she had nothing to do with his death. But the doctor that examined his body stated that while he did have a fever at the time of his death, quote, his demise was caused by extensive throat and lung irritation from inhaling small particles of bristle. And he did work in a brush factory.
Okay.
So it seemed a little plausible, and it was widely accepted at the time. But years later, suspicion did fall on Lizzie for his death when his physician reported that Charles had confessed having some fear of his wife and believed she might one day kill him.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So it's like, did she or did life just catch up with him?
Exactly. It could have been either one. Now a widow, Lizzie and her son Charlie moved back to Greenwich and found a room above the shop of a local blacksmith. Not long after moving back to the village, she met her second husband, Artemus Brewer. Artemus, a disabled Civil War veteran who required 2 crutches to walk and suffered from several other ailments. According to Owen, Brewer was, quote, an unusually short man with an enormous, disproportionate head and had long, scraggly, unkempt whiskers and very large feet.
That's a read and a half.
What a description.
The library is open.
What a description.
Damn, bitch. You really got me at an unusually large head.
And just like real big feet.
Oh.
And unkempt whiskers.
Really short.
Yeah.
Short
so the
king.
marriage lasted less than a year and came to
Aw.
an end when Brewer died unexpectedly in the night.
Ruh-roh.
Years later, Brewer's doctor would tell others that he suspected that he had been poisoned with the opium-based medicine he took for his pain.
Oh.
But Lizzie maintained it was edema that killed him.
Sure.
When anyone asked, she would say, it can be proved how he died. It was dropsy of the heart. The doctor will tell you.
Everything was dropsy back
Yeah,
then.
and dropsy is basically edema. So in her version of events, Lizzie claimed her second husband was, quote, a bad old man who was inclined to let me support him.
Okay. Well,
As
like,
she
he didn't
told
have a
it-
lot of means of supporting her, so...
And as she told it, she was a victim of Brewer's abuse and unreasonable demands and expectations. But everyone else in Greenwich were like, no, we don't remember it that way.
Oh.
And this is actually really sad. Owen writes, quote, it was not uncommon to see Lizzie in public pulling Brewer's hair or beard, yelling viciously at her husband and even beating him with his own cane.
I'll get her ass.
Right?
Not our short king.
Not Artemis.
No.
You know? Also, she would hide, and this is so sad, she would hide or withhold his pain medication and seem to delight in causing him distress or discomfort.
Right. She's fucked up.
That's the thing. Reports from Artemis's brother Albert seem to confirm this, with Albert telling authorities that on a number of occasions he'd heard Lizzie threaten his brother's life.
Oh.
The timing and manner of death was definitely suspicious, particularly since he'd seen his doctor one day earlier and was found to be in reasonably good health.
Yeah, I feel like if he had edema, the doctor would probably notice that.
Yeah. Now, very little time had passed after Artemis's death when Lizzie took up with a new man.
Damn, she is young and getting it.
And she can get him to marry her real fast.
We all know a lady like that.
Yep. Now, this was a widower named Hiram Parkinson. The two met through Lizzie's cleaning lady, and the relationship moved quickly, like they all are, with Parkinson moving into the room above the blacksmith shop and proposing marriage within the span of like a couple of months.
Jesus Christ.
But unbeknownst to Lizzie, Hiram wasn't so much a widower as he was estranged, but very much still married to his first wife, Ada Gunn.
A philanderer, you say.
So unaware of this fact, Lizzie accepted the proposal and they married, and shortly after that, they moved to Arlington, Vermont. According to Owen, the marriage ran into trouble in like 5 months, basically, when Hiram told Lizzie he was going on a short trip to visit his children back in Greenwich for Christmas. Mm-hmm. Lizzie said, "Fuck no, you're not. That's too expensive, and I don't want you leaving." And a physical altercation ensued.
She said, "You're not going to go see your hoe-ass kids on Christmas."
That's exactly what she said.
Whoa.
It was during the argument when Hiram went to collect his money for the trip that he realized Lizzie had stolen the $180 he had saved.
What a biatch.
So he immediately went to his lawyer and was like, "What the fuck can I do about this?"
Yeah.
Days later, Lizzie was confronted by the authorities and admitted to stealing the money, saying she'd given it to another lawyer for safekeeping.
But it's not yours, babe.
No. Parkinson called off the relationship immediately and told Lizzie he was going to see his family and they would be getting divorced as soon as he got back.
I'm like, does your marriage even count?
Well, before he could return, Lizzie packed up everything and sold the entire house and everything in it.
The 1800s go crazy.
Like furniture,
How the fuck do you sell a
clothes,
house that
dishes,
quick?
Fixtures, sold all of it.
What the?
And then
she said, "Buy it as is."
Yeah,
babe.
and then she left town.
What?
Yeah, since Parkinson was already married, though,
Right.
when Lizzie married him, like you just asked, the marriage was never legal. And so it was immediately dissolved, and they just never spoke again.
Alrighty. Well,
Yeah.
he made it out alive.
Like, damn. So after her marriage to Parkinson fell apart in 1886, Lizzie returned to Greenwich and found work as a washwoman.
And then she found another man.
One day, not long after returning, she was visited by George Smith.
Another one.
Another one, a former friend of her first husband, Charles Hopkins.
Girly.
He'd served in the army with him and was at his bedside when Hopkins died. According to Lizzie, quote, "George Smith brought me his laundry, and in a few weeks he wanted me to marry him.
Wow.
He was an old soldier and drew a pension, so I married him.
That motherfucker was rich.
He had money, so I married him." Little is known about this marriage, but there is documentation from this period that indicates that her bizarre and violent behavior maybe got a little worse.
That's nuts. I didn't expect that.
Yeah. In July 1886, Lizzie was arrested and charged with assault and battery after she forcibly entered the home of Mary Berenger, a local woman. And this woman, Smith, her husband now, had been staying with her for a period of time and had left a large feather bed in her home.
Okay.
And
Lizzie wanted to get that feather-ass bed back.
According to the complaint, Lizzie showed up at Berenger's door on July 24th, and after telling the woman, quote, "By God, I'm going to have that feather bed," she pushed her way into the house.
Can't say I wouldn't say the
Knocked
same.
Mary to the floor, dragged the bed onto the street, and tore it in the process, and feathers went everywhere.
She said, "I gotta have it."
She said, "That's my feather bed."
I don't know why. It just reminded me of that Big Ange video where she's like, "You gotta have it.
Gotta have it.
Feather ass bed.
Feather
you
ass
gotta
bed.
have it."
It's true.
Like, what the fuck?
Like just
By God!
by God, I must have it. And then she just knocked Mary onto the ground and heave-hoed that bed right outside. And feathers went everywhere.
So she got that feather ass
got
bed,
that
but she
feather
broke that feather ass bed. A feather ass bed doesn't seem like the best
You gotta
idea.
sew that feather ass bed. You did a
Sure
lot
do.
to get it.
Yeah.
But she got charged for assault and battery for that.
You can't be pushing people.
Now, within days of their wedding, Lizzie's relationship had turned predictably violent and abusive.
No way.
And she had once again started seeing Hiram Parkinson.
Who's that again? There's
The
so
man
many of them.
whose shit she sold.
Wait, like whose whole
was
ass
married.
home? What? With the hoe-ass kids?
He forgave her.
For selling his whole home?
What does this woman have
And not
that
a lot.
man is forgiving her? Yeah. On nights when Lizzie would sneak out to see Hiram while being married to George.
Okay.
Who has the feather-ass bed.
Does he really?
So
Because I think it exploded.
On nights when Lizzie would sneak out, George would send the police out to look for her.
No.
But
No. What are you going to say?
But other than reporting back that she was with Hiram, there was nothing they could do. So they would just go back to him and be like,
she a hoe.
She's with Hiram? But like, we can't go get her. Like, she's a grown-ass adult. Like, that's it. So before long, Lizzie had tired of George and seemed more interested in reconciling with Hiram.
But now she's got to get divorced.
But of course, she was still married to George Smith, and she had to end that relationship. So one morning, George sat down to eat breakfast, and Lizzie had prepared the breakfast.
No, thank you.
And he became a little suspicious because she was like, hey, drink your tea. And he was like, I will. And she was like, drink your fucking tea.
We say it all the time. You had to be so careful of this shit back then. You got to be on your toes about poisoning.
Yeah. And what's wild is George was like, you put milk and sugar in it. That's not really how I take my tea. So I'm good. Like, he was like, I don't really want that. And she was like, eat your food and drink your tea or I will throw that feather-ass bed outside. Like, she was pissed.
She said, I'll explode that shit all over again.
So in order to appease his wife, and he was like, she wouldn't do anything. I just want to, I'm suspicious, but that's just me being kooky.
Like, baby girl, you literally just had those feelings 2 seconds ago.
He took a large drink of the tea and almost immediately started getting ill. After thinking over the entire scenario, he was like, you poisoned me.
Yeah, go make yourself throw
up. You poisoned me. And you know what her reply was?
She said, if I did
Ready for it? She said, and then ran from the room. That's what happened.
She lolled and left.
She said, and then just ran.
That's so scary.
And he's sitting there.
Like, am I about to die?
Just dry heaving tea.
Oh, you got to throw up, babe.
And she's
lolling. She's lolling and leaving.
Lolls out the door. Just gone.
What? Getting scared is one thing. Getting a thrill is, well, you want more of those in your life. The Genesis GV70 is built to thrill, baby. A thrilling yet elegant design always makes driving the GV70 an exciting adventure. Its powerful athletic stance screams performance and turns heads. Everybody's looking at you, girl, or boy, or whoever. Command the road and experience a class-leading standard 300 horsepower. Oh my God. Plus, discover the different dynamic drive modes for all different terrains. Choose between the different terrain modes for whatever road conditions you may encounter. The Genesis GV70's award-winning technology and performance lets you drive with comfort and drive with confidence all at the same time. It's an exciting SUV with intuitive tech that can make your ride smooth even when the road isn't. And its blind spot cameras allow you to see what's next to you. It's like having eyes on the side of your head. That's pretty iconic. Its performance, by the way, is measured not only in power, but in how it makes you feel confident, sexy. The Genesis GV70. Learn more at genesis.com and feel the GV70. This episode is brought to you by SoFi, the all-in-one finance app where you can bank, borrow, and invest all in one place. Let's talk about bank accounts for a second. The average bank savings rate is 0.39% in interest. You're earning pennies on your savings, and it doesn't have to be that way. But with SoFi's high-yield checkings and savings, the money barely making moves sitting in your savings account can earn over 8 times the national average savings rate with eligible direct deposit. No account or overdraft fees. We love transparency. You can get your paycheck up to 2 days early, plus get up to a $300 welcome bonus when you sign up with eligible direct deposit. Sign up for SoFi checking and savings at sofi.com/morbid. SoFi checking and savings is offered through SoFi Bank, N.A., member FDIC. Terms apply. Chilling crime cases are mysterious, but finding coverage shouldn't be. With the State Farm Personal Price Plan, you have options and can personalize your plan to help create an affordable price so you can get back to cracking all of life's bigger cases. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the personal price plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Head to statefarm.com to get a quote. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
So George Smith was able to get a neighbor for help, was like, hi, help.
What do you even do when you've been poisoned?
They went to the doctor, and George was given a solution to puke out whatever had caused the sickness. Ipecac.
Yeah.
Both the doctor and the authorities searched for the tea to try to find what he had consumed, but both the tea and Lizzie disappeared.
Oh, she took it while she lolled.
Yeah, she said, you can't have that
She
tea.
lolled and left and took the tea.
She lolled and then she took the tea. She returned home a few days later and offered no explanation for anything.
What?
Would not tell him about poisoning him and would not say where she had been.
Okay. You could just leave and stay gone.
George forgave her.
That's a nice man.
He forgives
get you a
her.
George.
Okay. And then a few days later,
She poisons him again.
he returns home in the evening and found the house was locked and no one was inside. So he had to make his way through a window in his own house to get inside. And he was shocked to find that Lizzie was not there. She had disappeared. And this time, she'd stolen everything that he owned.
Even his feather ass bed.
Even his feather house bed.
No.
And he never saw her again.
And that's why you don't forgive
She
people.
just dipped. Do not forgive people for poisoning
cautionary
you.
tale. No, not even for just don't forgive
people. Just a blanket
people.
statement. Don't forgive people.
Don't forget and don't forgive.
Don't forgive.
Because you'll lose your feather ass bed.
Yeah,
and you'll lose your feather ass head.
It's right.
And you might get poisoned.
It's true. Now, it turned out that after abandoning George Smith and absconding with his belongings and money.
I love that word.
It is
absconding.
a great word.
I looked that up the other day, in fact.
So you did. I thought of it.
That's funny.
Lizzie fled to Bellows Fall, Vermont, which is a small town along the New Hampshire border. Before long, she took up with a local painter by the name of Charles Plaisdell, and the couple were soon married.
She said, paint me on this feather
Shocker.
ass bed.
I got a feather ass bed.
You want to paint me on it?
Almost nothing is known about this relationship, but just 2 weeks after the marriage, she packed up her son and left. They just left.
Oh my God, I forgot she has a whole ass child.
Has a whole ass child.
No bueno.
Didn't say a word to anyone, just said leaving 2 weeks after.
Oh no, doll.
Now, years later, after her arrest and trial, authorities tried to locate Plaisdell.
Okay.
Who she had married.
Yeah, the painter.
They couldn't find anyone in Vermont living under that name, and he was never remembered by anyone in Bellows Falls.
I'm deeply obsessed with that.
Right? That lore?
Deeply, deeply obsessed with that.
I feel like that's like a separate lore that needs to be looked into.
Or do you think that any of that ever happened?
Yeah.
Could that just be in Lizzie's memory?
I don't think so. I feel like she really did. I feel like he exists and we just got to find him, you know?
Maybe.
Now, previously when Lizzie's relationships or jobs had fallen apart, she would just kind of return to the familiarity of Greenwich. Mm-hmm. But by the time she abandoned Charles Plaisdell, she caused so much havoc and had broken so many laws in Greenwich that she really couldn't go back.
All right.
Instead, she packed up her son. Remember, she does have a son. And they headed south, eventually settling in Philadelphia. And that's the city where her parents had first arrived decades earlier, remember?
Yeah, I remember.
So without any job, resources, or social connections, Lizzie, who was then going by the name Maggie Hopkins,
of course,
turned up at the door of the McQuillans family pub.
Whomst I remember.
Yeah. She arrived in what has been described as, quote, a rather expensive horse-drawn hansom cab.
Oh.
Now, apparently the McQuillans thought that she was someone else, but then they figured out at some point that she was like an old, like she was their family friend's
That's awkward.
child. So they had actually let them stay in the guest room. And even when they realized that she wasn't who they thought that she was, they were like, oh yeah, like we remember your parents. I'm like, it's fine. It was like a weird thing. I think they thought she was like a sister they hadn't seen since they were little.
And she went along with it?
And she just went along with it.
She was like, oh, yes, it is me, your sister.
Meanwhile, I'm like, you were family friend. Like, you have that
could
connection.
Just say,
you could
yeah.
just say that.
What?
But they let her stay anyways. They were like, whatever.
They're like, oh, you're not our sister, but you're this little girl we used to know.
Yeah, they were like, oh, shit. Now, as always, it didn't take long before Lizzie got into an altercation. this time with McQuillan's wife.
Oh, no.
And within a short time of arriving, she was asked to leave.
Yeah.
So she is now without a place to stay again, and she found a small home for rent on Kensington Avenue. And in January 1888, she paid 2 months' rent in advance, telling the landlord her mother and her son would be joining her in the coming weeks. After filling the house with furniture she bought on credit from a local store and ensuring everything was around $600, Lizzie began setting up the first floor of the house as a kind of general store. And she set out barrels of onions and potatoes, loaves of bread, other sundries. She was like, you know what, I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm going to run a general store.
All right.
Why not? Unfortunately, the store did struggle within the first few weeks, and nothing really improved in the months after that, so it didn't end up being a good thing.
Aww.
Her business finally came to an end when on the morning of March 14th, 1888, the fire department was dispatched to Kensington Avenue, where they found the entire building that contained the store and Lizzie's home was up in flames.
Oh.
Fortunately, the families living on either side of her managed to escape with their lives, but they had a lot of property loss.
Oh.
Now, after the firemen had managed to get everything under control, they made their way into the first floor where the store had been and were surprised to find that it had been emptied of all of its furnishings.
That's crazy.
But the only thing that was there was, quote, several pots and kettles set in the middle rooms containing burning rags which had been doused in coal oil.
That little bitch.
Investigative techniques of the day may have been pretty unsophisticated, but not so much that it wasn't immediately apparent that this is arson.
It's literally a smoking pot.
Yeah. Also, given that the fire had clearly started in Lizzie's home, she was immediately identified as the prime suspect for the arson.
Awesome.
It took investigators some time to track her down after the fire, and when they finally did, she had a weird story to tell.
I'm sure she did.
According to Lizzie, it was not her who had started the fire.
Never is.
No. It was two unknown attackers who swore they would kill her if she went to the police.
Oh.
Obviously.
Duh.
She said oil was poured out of a lamp over the floor and a match set to it. I saw it all, but I didn't do it. I didn't speak because I was afraid I would be killed, but I lay in bed with my eyes open watching the whole thing.
Okay.
Investigators were like, no. And then they got more convinced of her guilt when they learned the insurance policy she had taken out on the furniture, which was in the name of Mrs. Miller, an acquaintance of Lizzie's who lived in New Jersey.
Oh, good.
It was Miller who directed detectives to Lizzie after the fire, and they found her hiding in a hospital in New Jersey where she claimed she was being treated for peritonitis as a result of medical malpractice.
Wow. There's a lot to unpack
So much
there.
that is layered.
Yeah.
They were further convinced of her guilt when they learned her son had told one of the nurses in the hospital that his mother had set fire to the house before they fled for New Jersey.
One thing about kids is they will rat you out.
Kids are going to rat you out.
They're
That's just the
usually
way it is.
honest.
Yeah. Now, although they had hoped to question her further about the fire, hospital staff in Camden refused to let them continue to speak with her, saying that she was medically fine, but they believed her to be feeble-minded, quote unquote. That's not my quote.
Yeah, no.
Less than average intelligence and possibly even insane.
Okay.
After everything they'd learned in their investigation, detectives didn't doubt what they'd been told by the hospital staff, but they did bring Lizzie back to Philadelphia to stand trial for arson.
Because you do have to stand trial for arson if you arson.
So if you do arson, you know.
Yeah.
Lizzie's trial was held in late March 1888, and there was a lot of compelling evidence against her. And she really didn't have anything to say in her defense, and instead she rambled incoherently and periodically cried out for her son, Charles.
That's sad.
Who had been placed in the custody of the Society to Protect Children from Cruelty. With no coherent defense, she was quickly found guilty and sentenced to 2 years in the Eastern State Penitentiary.
Oh, shit. We covered that, I'm pretty sure.
Having been estranged from her family or anyone else who might come to her defense, she had alienated everyone in her life.
Damn.
No one spoke on her behalf in the trial or sentencing phase. Oh. And on May 4th, she began serving her 2-year sentence.
That just reminded me of, in Ever After when they're like,
Yeah.
will no one here speak for her? And then
they
Drew
all
Barrymore
said
comes
no.
around the corner and she goes, I will speak for her.
Except no one did that.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
That Drew Barrymore was nowhere to be found.
Drew,
where
were you?
Come on. So this is just like, because Charles Jr. there and Lizzie, they didn't know it at the time, but they would never see each other again.
That's sad, but probably good for
Probably
Charles.
healthy. Yeah.
But I also hope that the Society of Protecting the Children
You
Against
wonder what his
Cruelty
life was
did
like.
actually protect the children from cruelty.
Yeah, you hope. Now, little is documented or really known of Lizzie's time at Eastern State Penitentiary, but her prison record does say that she was a model prisoner, which is wild when you find out how she was later.
Yeah, well, and how she just was.
Yeah, and there was no infractions of prison rules. And 2 months before her release, she was transferred to the, quote, Department for the Insane at Blockley. That's what it was called.
They should workshop that name.
They absolutely should. Where she was diagnosed as being mentally ill.
Okay.
She finished her sentence at Blockley and was discharged in 1891, after which she was transferred to like a kind of halfway house in Philadelphia. Now, although the halfway house would have provided lodging and essentials like food, she fled almost immediately. I don't know why I said food like that. Food. I don't know why I said it like that.
Did you hear that?
Like essentials like food.
She got some food. I'm sorry.
But she immediately fled after her discharge.
Even from the food?
Even from the food. And she started making her way back to New York, presumably with the intention of probably landing in Greenwich again.
She loves Greenwich. She lives for Greenwich.
She does. Now, whatever her plan, she arrived in Newburgh in January 1891. And through an employment agency, she got work as a live-in domestic worker, like she started out as.
Wow.
In the home of the Vaughan family.
Oh, the Vaughns!
The Vaughns.
You know, I love a Vaughn.
Now, within a week of her starting, the Vaughns complained to the agency about Lizzie several times.
They said, this bitch.
They said on 2 occasions she stayed out all night at what Mrs. Vaughn believed was a, quote, and this is a quote, gypsy camp. That's what they believed she was doing. And again, quote, at this time, it was common for Romani and other traveling groups to make their way through the Catskills and Hudson Valley area. And in the wake of her arrest, a lot was made of her supposed association with these travelers.
Okay.
I don't know why. It was just like a thing. Because I think people were so shitty about them
they were racist.
that they were like, and she's part of this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, you know. It's unclear how well she was acquainted with any of these groups, but author Kevin Owens says, after Lizzie's arrest and while awaiting trial in 1893, she confessed to knowledge of specific events that led to the death of a peddler believed to have been murdered by one of the travelers.
All right.
So there's no conclusive evidence linking her to the murder, but Owen believes Lizzie not only witnessed the murder, but probably participated in it as well.
Okay.
Either way, a lot was made of her association with this group after she was arrested. After being dismissed from the Vaughan house for repeatedly violating their rules, Lizzie returned to the employment agency and was sent to the work in the home of Paul Halliday, where the relationship quickly escalated. I don't know if you know that this is named Lizzie Halliday.
Bells did start to ring in my mind.
Quickly escalates from employment to romance.
Romance!
Like several of the men who'd played an important role in her life, Halliday was widowed. He was a Civil War veteran, and he was more than 40 years older than her.
Wow, that's an age difference.
And if she was attracted to anything, it was likely his pension.
Yeah.
And the large farm that he owned on the outskirts of Newburgh.
Who doesn't love a farm?
Who doesn't love that? What she was likely disappointed to find out was that Paul suffered from rheumatism and was a heavy drinker with a bad reputation around town.
Okay.
So also, Halliday still lived with his 2 adult sons, and one of them was a person with cognitive disabilities, which apparently annoyed Lizzie.
That checks that she would be
Which,
annoyed.
like, doesn't shock me that she would be annoyed by that.
But it should be shocking.
It should be. Now, despite the fact that nearly everyone in Paul's life was like, don't get close to this lady.
He was like, I think I'm going to get close to this lady.
Especially his children who hated her.
Oh,
which, like,
what
listen
are you
to your
doing,
kids.
Paul?
Paul proposed to Lizzie for not long after having met her. And on March 26, 1891, they married.
Why? Here, you know what? From first person experience, don't marry somebody your kids don't like.
Don't do it. Just don't do it.
That's shitty.
Yeah, not surprisingly, it didn't take long before Lizzie fell into the usual pattern of domestic abuse. And it's domestic abuse like she's abusing them.
Yeah.
This time, her wrath wasn't limited to just her husband, though. On many occasions, she would fly into a rage over anything or nothing and become verbally abusive, and several times she assaulted Paul's son, James, choking and hitting him. But it was Paul's son with cognitive disabilities, Johnny, who was most often the target of her violence and cruelty.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. That's
She's
what
a
I mean
piece of shit.
When she got deemed the worst woman in the world, she's up there.
Signing off on that. What a bitch.
On the morning of May 4th, 1891, Paul departed the farm with a team of horses and a load of coal. At that time, Lizzie was apparently sick and she was in bed.
Okay.
and the only other person in the house was Johnny.
Oh, you're going to ruin my fucking life.
Not long after Paul left, Lizzie claimed that Johnny came running into the bedroom shouting that the house was on fire, and he helped her to her feet and safely out of the house.
Okay.
Once Lizzie was safe, she claimed Johnny ran back in the house in order to save some belongings, but after 2 or 3 trips in and out, he didn't return. And after hearing Lizzie's story, the coroner ruled the death accidental suffocation.
Oh, no.
Paul was also convinced by Lizzie's story, because why would you think anything else?
Because she's terrible and hits your child.
And apparently they all concluded that the fire had been Johnny's fault.
That's nice.
And apparently what was said was he was careless with the lantern while whittling.
Okay.
In addition to Johnny's death, the fire also destroyed the house, the barn, and killed several of the horses.
Yeah.
Now, as had happened many other times, Lizzie just grew tired of married life. And it only worsened after the fire. And eventually she left Halliday, Paul Halliday, and she took up with a neighbor, John Glynn.
Oh my God. So she
Yeah.
probably murdered his child and then got with the neighbor?
Yeah.
Damn.
Like Lizzie, John Glynn had a reputation as an unsavory character, and in June 1891, they both stole a team of horses and took them to Newburgh, where they were trying to sell them.
I always wonder how people steal horses, like
I know.
stealthily.
Unfortunately, they were quickly arrested and tried for second-degree grand larceny.
That's good. Larceny of horse.
Yeah, it's unclear what happened to Glynn, but Lizzie was brought before a judge in Newburgh, and she acted out violently and made a number of bizarre statements before pleading insanity.
Okay.
Based on her behavior in the courtroom and the conclusions of the psychiatrist, Lizzie was sentenced to treatment at the asylum, the state asylum at the time, quote unquote.
Sure.
Until doctors believed she was no longer a danger to society. They were incorrect.
Yeah, I had a
They were
feeling.
incorrect. It was during this time that Glynn reported to investigators that Lizzie had informed him that the fire that had killed Johnny Halliday was in fact no accident.
Yeah.
It also wasn't the right cause of death. According to Lizzie, she cut Johnny's throat with a bread knife.
And they didn't catch
And then she
that?
burned the house down in order to cover her crimes.
Oh.
Yeah.
A bread knife?
Yeah.
I cut my finger with a bread knife recently. Oof.
Lizzie served a little over 1 year in the asylum and was released in the spring of 1893, due almost entirely to Paul Halliday's constant efforts to secure her release. What does she do to these men to get them to forgive her?
She dickmatizes them.
Like, it's wild. Paul had forgiven Lizzie after she left him, and
set his house on fire and murdered his child.
and she returned home with her husband. And after leaving him for John Glynn
For
and
the
going on a
neighbor.
crime spree,
Larceny.
he's like, it's fine. And he gets her out, lives with her again. They rebuilt the farm. Little did he know, though, that Lizzie was harboring a lot of resentment towards him and had begun plotting revenge against him for some perceived wrongdoing.
I was going to say, for what?
In fact, while Paul seemed convinced that Lizzie had been cured, other family members recalled that her behavior became even more erratic than before.
The hell?
After Lizzie's
People
arrest,
love to try to fix people.
Oh, yeah. After Lizzie's arrest, Paul's daughter Mary told reporters in one moment she would be talking about pieces of fabric in a sewing project, and quite suddenly she should be angry and full of rage, muttering about someone who had wronged her terribly.
Sounds like the president of the United States.
It literally does. Like, that was her.
It very much does.
And Paul became increasingly estranged from his family in the months that followed, seemingly content to retreat further and further into this life that he was creating in his head with Lizzie on the farm. And one day in September, Paul's son, Paul Jr., became concerned about his father's well-being and paid a visit to the farm. He was met by Lizzie at the front door.
No thanks.
Lizzie claimed that Paul had purchased some property in Bloomingburg and had gone there to inspect the land, and she didn't know when he was going to be back.
Doubt it.
Certain his father would have mentioned this to him, Paul Jr. went right to the police because he was like, this bitch did it.
Yeah.
And asked if they could check on his father and confirm that he was alive and well. The constable agreed to go to the farm and check, but when they went there with another officer, they were met by Lizzie, and she said, "You're not coming in." So they didn't want to escalate the situation at that moment, so they went back to the station to come up with what they could. After conferring with some other officers at the station, they determined that they were able to get a search warrant.
Okay.
And on the morning of September 4th, 1893, they went back to the farm with the warrant. And despite having a warrant in hand, Lizzie said, "No, you're not coming in." And then she hit one of the officers with a stick.
So I feel like at that point they probably could have arrested her.
Yeah. Apparently they didn't want to keep escalating. But they did come up with a good plan. One constable asked if Lizzie would accompany them to Bloomingburg so they might speak with Paul together.
Okay.
And weirdly, she agreed.
Okay.
So they were like, okay, let's go. And while Lizzie's gone away with the constable, a large team of officers descended on the farm to search the place.
Yeah.
At first glance, Paul Halliday did not appear to be home, and nothing really was unusual.
But
the further they searched, investigators were finding very ominous and very alarming evidence of a lot of foul play having occurred in that house. On the first floor, they discovered a bucket that appeared to contain a blood-stained rug that Lizzie had been scrubbing with a stiff brush. In another room, they discovered a bloody axe handle,
Holy
a
shit.
crowbar, a bloody board, and 2 shovels that had been recently used.
What the fuck?
And in another room, investigators found the floor covered with a large amount of dirt and hay, which when they brushed it aside revealed a giant blood stain on the floor.
She just covered it with dirt and hay?
Also, when they searched the bedroom and removed the piles of clothing from the bed, they discovered the sheets were covered in blood stains, and it looked like someone had tried to clean it. So all of this evidence of literal carnage in that house and the discovery of the shovels, investigators were like, fuck, Paul Halliday is probably buried on this property.
Yeah.
So they finish searching the house, they move on to the barn, and in the crawl space underneath the building, they discovered what they believed to find a body buried under a shallow pile of dirt and manure.
Uh-huh.
After carefully removing the debris, they discovered that there was something buried under the barn, but it wasn't the body of Paul Halliday.
Another one?
2 bodies.
What?
Of 2 young women.
What?
Both bound tightly with cloth.
What?
So they don't want to destroy evidence here.
Wow, smart.
So the
Early 1900s people not wanting to destroy evidence? That's cuckoo.
The investigators called the coroner, and under his direction, both women were removed from the crawl space. As far as the coroner could tell, Coroner Roche, one of the bodies had been under the barn slightly longer than the other. Both were bound at the ankles, wrists, and knees, and both had been shot to death.
Oh my God.
One of the women was estimated to be in her 40s, while the other was in her mid-20s. Although no one in Newburgh recognized them and their identities would remain a mystery for some time. According to Roche, the younger woman who had been dead for roughly 2 days, and the cause of death was determined to be any one of the 7 gunshot wounds to the left side of her chest.
Wow.
The older of the 2 was believed to have been under the barn for roughly 5 days, and her cause of death was attributed to one of the 8 gunshot wounds to the left side of her chest.
Jesus.
A cable was sent to the constable in Bloomingburg to let him know what they found at the farm and instructing him, you should probably arrest Lizzie right now.
Yeah.
In the meantime, now dealing with a double homicide, the search team returned to the house and started combing for evidence. Inside, detectives found what they believed to be the 2 women's clothing in the bedroom, and 1 spent .32 caliber shell was discovered near the bed.
Just one?
Which led investigators to believe at least one of the women had been shot while she was lying in the bed. That's why the bloodstains were there.
Yep.
Now, Lizzie was taken into custody and transferred back to Newburgh in the company of the constable. She was physically abusive. She was verbally abusive the whole way, refused to answer any questions. Elsewhere in town, investigators kept searching for Paul Halliday, who many people remembered seeing in the days before the discovery at the farm, but no one had seen him since the bodies had been found.
Okay.
Now, although she refused to cooperate with the police following her arrest, she was definitely not quiet. After being locked up in a jail cell in Monticello, New York, I saw that you can say it Monticello or Monticello. I'm going with the Hamilton way of saying it.
I like it.
Lizzie continued to act out aggressively and at one point ripped a large piece of her dress off and tried to choke herself with it.
Oh, fuck.
Under the circumstances, the constable was like, oh, she might be a suicide risk, and started keeping a closer eye on her.
Yeah.
A day or 2 after arriving at the jail, she was accompanied to the outhouse. And standing outside the door, the guard heard a thud, as though something had fallen to the floor. And concerned she might be trying to harm herself again, he opened the door of the outhouse and found Lizzie preparing to drop a .32 caliber pistol and a large quantity of shells into the toilet, and was able to prevent her from destroying evidence.
They were just on her person this whole time?
It's unknown how she still had that.
And you know what? I don't want to know.
Yeah. And after taking her back to her cell, a further search of the outhouse was conducted. Investigators found additional .32 caliber shells, as well as several women's rings and a gold pocket watch inscribed with the initials SJM on the back.
What the actual fuck? Sorry, how long had she been held at this point? Was this just like a few hours, or was this days that gone by?
It was a day or two.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Now,
I'm like, was that before you guys searched people?
I think they forgot.
Do you remember in school when you just knew that your teacher had a favorite of everything? They would always use the same blue dry erase marker when they wrote on the board, or they would talk nonstop about their favorite element during science. I had a teacher once that literally had a favorite brand of marker. She would only write with specific markers, and if another marker ended up in her classroom, she was TO'd. And honestly, I was probably her favorite student because at the end of the year, I got her that specific brand of marker. Let's talk about their real favorite thing though, their favorite tissue brand. Kleenex. According to teacher lists, they are the #1 facial tissue trusted by teachers. Kleenex Ultra Soft tissues are silky soft to help prevent skin irritation, and now you can take them anywhere with Kleenex Snap and Go. I absolutely love Kleenex Snap and Go. It's so perfect to have that in your car. I had a cold last week and I was just... Honey, my nose was a faucet. I hate to do this to you, but it was disgusting. Drew literally came out of our garage with like 15 of the Kleenex Snap and Goes, and I put those in my glove compartment, and honey, they were easy access. It was so nice knowing that I didn't have to blow my nose into like an old wrapper that I had. Ew. So do the best thing for your kids' teachers and stock up on the ultimate classroom favorite. Maybe it'll make them their teacher's favorite student. They definitely have a favorite. Don't even get me started because again, you know it was me. For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex. The best summer pieces are the ones you end up wearing on repeat. Comfortable, versatile, and somehow right for almost every occasion. Quince makes it easy to create a summer wardrobe that you'll love, with elevated essentials made from premium materials like European linen, organic cotton, and washable silk, without the traditional retail markup. I love that! Quince's 100% European linen pants, dresses, and tops are the pieces that you absolutely will reach for all summer long. I absolutely love their linen. I have so many pairs of their linen pants, which you can dress up or you can dress down in the summer. Like, say you're going to a nice dinner, you can pair it with like a silk shirt, a really cute necklace, some good, makeup and an updo. Or if you're just looking for a more casual look, you can do the linen pants with like a loose button-up shirt and you still look really chic, kind of like, I don't know, Diane Keaton vibes, I kind of think. Also, it's not just apparel. Quince also offers elevated essentials for your home, from bedding and bath to kitchen essentials and furniture. They have it all, honey. I am a big lover of Quince, and I really do think you will be too. Make your summer wardrobe feel easier. Go to quince.com/morbid for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/morbid for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/morbid. Every good detective needs a partner to support them on important cases. Think of a State Farm agent like your sidekick, there to help you along the way in your search for coverage. State Farm can help you choose the coverage you need, whether it's for your home, car, boat, or even RV. With so many options, it's nice knowing you have help finding what fits for you so you can get back to solving all of life's bigger cases. Go to statefarm.com or use the award-winning app to connect with a local agent and get a quote. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
But during a further search of the Halliday property, because they were like, we still can't find him.
Yeah.
And this is in the days that followed, investigators finally learned what happened to Paul Halliday. During a search of the kitchen, one of the men noticed one or two of the floorboards was loose. When the boards were removed, they discovered what looked like recently disturbed soil, and driving the crowbar into the earth about 18 inches, they felt it hit something.
Oh.
After removing the dirt, investigators found the body of Paul Halliday. His arms were crossed over his chest, his wrists were tied together, and a burlap bag was over his head.
And he's just buried beneath his kitchen floor.
And she was just in the kitchen.
This is haunting.
As far as Coroner Roche could tell, Paul had been dead about 2 weeks.
Oh, that's a long ass time.
Killed by any one of the 3 .32 caliber bullets that pierced his chest.
Oh.
Roche theorized that Paul had been killed while laying down and was shot at close range. Also, a large contusion was found near his left temple, and that indicated he'd been struck in the head with a heavy blunt object.
I believe it.
So hard, in fact, it fractured his orbital socket and knocked loose his left eye, which was now hanging loosely on his cheek.
Thank you for that.
I need everyone to understand what I just said about Lizzie motherfucking Halliday.
I do.
She hit him with something so hard on the side of his head that she fractured his orbital socket and knocked his fucking eye out of his head, and then she shot him several times in the chest.
I really hate eye shit. I really hate eye shit.
She knocked this man's
She's gonna tell me
eye
again.
out of his head. Do you know how hard you have to hit somebody?
I can't even begin to imagine.
And then she shot him in the fucking chest and then buried him under her kitchen.
Oh my God, brother.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Lizzie.
Well,
Maggie,
yeah.
Halliday.
while Roche was conducting his autopsy of Paul Halliday, detectives had managed to identify the 2 women discovered on the farm as Margaret and Sarah McQuillan,
Oh, you told me to remember.
the wife and daughter of Thomas McQuillan.
What, did she go kidnap them or something?
She literally, that, I was like, when I read that, I was like,
Yeah.
what?
So like, how'd she, what?
Yeah.
Because the whole reason she got kicked out was because, or asked to leave, was because she had a fight with the wife.
With the wife. Now, we'll get to it, don't worry. So days later, a coroner's inquest was held, after which it was determined that Lizzie was responsible for the deaths of both women. In their conclusion, the jury wrote, "We do say upon our oath that Margaret J. McQuillan and Sarah J. McQuillan come to their deaths by bullets fired from a pistol in the hands of Lizzie Halliday. The balls entering the heart were the immediate cause of death. That said, Margaret was killed on or about August 30th and Sarah McQuillan on or about September 2nd. When investigators visited Lizzie in her cell and told her the identification of the 2 bodies on her farm, she responded, Mrs. McQuillan. Oh, yes, I remember Mrs. McQuillan and her daughter. Who murdered them?
Curly.
According to Lizzie,
Why they on your farm, girl?
She says they both showed up at her farm several weeks earlier with some men, and they brought whiskey with them. So she allowed them to stay, but refused to drink with them, and she just went to bed. She doesn't know what happened.
That's nuts. She just went to bed and then they ended up
Just
shoved in
use
a
my
crawl
house.
space,
Why not?
shot
Yeah.
and wrapped up.
Now,
Hello?
from this point forward, Lizzie became increasingly difficult to deal with at the jail. Under the best of circumstances, when she had visitors or anyone tried to talk to her, she, quote, talked in a rambling, incoherent way and avoided looking at anyone in the face.
I need to know who the fuck was visiting Lizzie in jail.
I'm saying.
Give me names.
During this time, she frequently reported seeing, quote, a large woman with a big mouth who was trying to harm her.
It me. Just kidding.
It me. He said that was me.
I said, girl.
I was trying to harm
I said,
you.
put some respect on my name.
Oh, Lord.
That's,
I'm picturing.
in all seriousness,
Yeah.
that's sad.
And also, I'm picturing that hallucination.
Yeah, that's fucking
That's
scary.
horrifying.
A large woman with a big mouth.
So, under the worst circumstances, she was completely unruly and a danger to herself. And in the days leading up to her court appearance, she refused to eat, tried to strangle the sheriff's wife who delivered her food.
Why the fuck is the sheriff's wife out here in these
Why
streets?
she's given apparently delivered food.
Do
And
it yourself, sheriff.
she tried to set her bedclothes on fire and
She
repeatedly
loves fire.
She repeatedly tried to cut her arms and face anytime she was given an implement that was remotely sharp.
Stop giving her sharp implements.
And the sheriff said it has been necessary to keep her chained to the floor.
I believe it. What are you going to do at
Yeah.
a certain point? Like, that's awful. But
Yeah. Now, as the trial neared the summer of 1894, Lizzie's case had become very sensational and very closely watched.
Yeah.
The press was saying, quote, it will almost in interest be as famous as that of Lizzie Borden. I'm here to tell you in 2026 it's not.
Nah.
But I get it. Her name is also Lizzie.
Yeah.
The trial of Lizzie Halliday, not Borden, she was called the Burlingham Murderess. The trial for the murder of Sarah McQuillan began June 18th, 1894 in New York, with Judge Samuel Edwards presiding. Assigned to Lizzie's defense was a prominent local attorney named George Carpenter, who the New York Times referred to as, quote, a lawyer of more than ordinary talent, and has been frequently identified with intricate litigation.
Oh.
Imagine being described as, they have more than ordinary talent.
That's nice.
Not extraordinary, but
more than ordinary.
More than ordinary. Given all that had happened in the months leading to the trial, the press speculated, quote, it seems scarcely probable that Mrs. Halliday will receive from the jury a verdict by which she will regain her freedom.
Yeah.
In fact, the case against her seemed very strong, and given her behavior and frequent violent outbursts, everyone pretty much assumed she was going to get that insanity defense.
Yeah.
Given the considerable press coverage and the anticipation of a very wild hearing, people that came to the first day of the trial were probably a little surprised, and probably because we're human beings and we're kind of the worst. They were probably disappointed to find the so-called, quote, worst woman in the world to have, quote, lost much of her former strength and vivacity during her imprisonment. During the first day of trial, she sat quietly beside Carpenter and never said a word.
That's nuts that she was quiet.
Yeah.
I wonder how they accomplished that.
The trial came to an end just 3 days later, and the jury deliberated for 4 hours before returning and handing down a guilty verdict.
Yeah.
After the verdict was read aloud for the court, many wondered whether Lizzie fully understood what it meant, because she said nothing on her own behalf and, quote, only jerked her head up and down and stamped on it with her heel.
Oh.
After the case was adjourned and she had been returned to her cell, Lizzie, quote, threw herself on the little bed in the corner of the cell and slept the sleep of the just and innocent.
So she slept real good that night.
Apparently.
I want to sleep the sleep of a just and innocent.
Yeah.
I'm manifesting
I feel like
that.
I did last night. I had a good night's sleep.
You know what? Yeah. Retweet.
Now, having been found guilty of first-degree murder, she was returned to the courtroom the next day for sentencing, and again, had no response when asked if she had anything to say in her defense.
Okay.
When the judge asked her to stand so he could pass sentence, Lizzie again failed to respond, and it took 4 men to lift her to her feet, where she, quote, swayed in the grasp of the officers, but there was no expression on her face.
Ooh, that's
I'm like, was she drugged?
I was going to say.
It kind of feels that way. But the judge then turned to Carpenter and asked whether he had any additional comments. And he replied, quote, I have nothing further to say. So with all that out of the way, he returned to Lizzie and sentenced her to death by electricity in the place designated by the state in the week beginning Monday, August 6, 1894.
Shit.
She was let out of the courtroom quietly. So I think she was drugged.
Was for sure drugged.
Although everyone who had followed the case was certain of Lizzie's guilt and her wrongdoings, when the verdict and sentence was passed down, there was still like a wave of shock, probably due to the fact that she was sentenced to die in the electric chair, which was a first for a woman in New York. But that wasn't really, like, they didn't think that she shouldn't be held accountable for the murders.
Yeah.
But given her history and behavior, a lot of people assumed she would just be deemed insane and locked away in an institution for the rest of her life.
Right.
After all was said and done, it seemed that despite her obvious guilt, the idea of putting such a disturbed woman to death was something that a lot of people were like, I don't know about that.
I get feeling that way, but as I'm sitting here, I'm like, what's worse?
Do you know what I mean? Her, exactly. But it's like,
I understand that thought for sure.
It's the morality of the whole thing. It's like, there's a lot. It's one of those.
Yeah, there is a lot.
That it's like something's wrong, clearly, and like something's off. And she did a lot of wrong.
Yeah.
And there are times where she knew what she was doing was wrong. So she should be punished. But I think an institution is where she really needed to be.
She probably would have been in an institution at that time.
Yeah, and one reporter wrote, no one expected conviction in the first degree, and now that it has been given and the clamor of those who thought she was shamming has been satisfied, there's a general expression that confinement for the remainder of her life should have been the penalty.
Yeah.
Now, it appeared as though the gravity of the verdict and sentencing had also started setting in for Lizzie as well.
Yeah.
In her cell in Monticello, she continued to refuse to eat. And visitors and jailers noted, quote, she is very much depressed and seems constantly wrapped up in the most profound thought. When she wasn't silent and lost in thought, she would become wildly unmanageable and, quote, continued the very filthiest habits of which she is capable. Also, she continued exhibiting bizarre behavior, like insisting upon wearing her shoes on the wrong feet and throwing a basin of water at a visiting doctor.
I mean, if she wants to wear her shoes on the wrong feet.
I mean, let her do it, you know. But on June 28th, 1894, she was transferred from Monticello to Dannemora Prison in upstate New York.
I feel like we end up talking about that
We
prison
do.
so much.
And she was held there. She was going to be held there until her execution. Only a few weeks into her sentence, Governor Roswell Flower, influenced by the prison reform movement.
I'm sorry. What a gorgeous
Roswell
name.
Flower.
That's a gorgeous name.
He was influenced by the prison reform movement and public opinion about Lizzie's case. Mm-hmm. He assembled a commission to review her medical records and make a definitive determination as to her present mental state.
Yeah.
This was not to determine whether she was sane at the time of the murders, like I was saying before. It was to determine whether she should continue to be held in prison or have her sentence commuted and be transferred to a psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
They knew she did it. They knew she did it. She knew it was wrong.
But obviously there's something
off here. The commission began their investigation on July 12th and they started with a thorough review of her long legal and mental health history.
Yeah.
Other studies included physical examinations, interviews, and making a plaster cast of her head.
Huh.
Phrenology was very popular at the time, and many people believe the size and shape of a person's head could reveal something about their intellect and psyche.
Interesting.
It was a very popular thing.
I got a big old head.
In Lizzie's case, doctors were particularly interested in the fact that her, quote, unusual head was asymmetrical and her forehead high and tapered.
Oh, shit.
Finally.
That's a read.
That is a read.
But honestly, a high and tapered forehead.
Yeah.
That's model-esque.
Exactly. Yeah.
Asymmetrical, not so much.
Now, finally, interviews with prison guards and staff were conducted, which confirmed that since arriving at Dannemora, Lizzie was, quote, noisy, destructive, dirty in her habits, and frequently profane and obscene in her speech. The staff also noted that she was often disruptive in the evenings and engaged in self-mutilation and lashed out at others.
Oh, that's sad.
Before and during her trial, many believed her symptoms of mental illness were an act. They thought she was, which I get, that because they probably thought that she was just trying to get out of trouble.
They're just lasting so long.
Well, and the things she did are so horrific and so, like, brutal.
Yeah.
That, like, I think it's hard for anyone to understand that, like, she, you know.
Like how her brain works.
Yeah, exactly. But after carefully reviewing her case, the commission assembled by Governor Flowers dismissed any belief that Lizzie was acting and concluded that she was deeply mentally ill.
Yeah.
Based on their findings, Flowers issued a pardon on July 16th, 1894.
Wow.
Commuting her death sentence to one of life imprisonment.
Okay.
He wrote, the defense for it was insanity, and the evidence to establish it very strong. Doctors at Matteawan State Hospital testified that at different times, come years before the homicide, she had been under their charge as an insane patient,
right,
at times which she was unquestionably insane. A short time later, she was transferred to the newly completed Matteawan Insane Asylum, that's what it was called,
yep,
in Fishkill, which was a small town in the Hudson Valley.
Not Fishkill.
On August 30th, 1895, Kate Ward, an attendant on Lizzie's floor at Matteawan, was in the women's bathroom washing her hands when she was attacked by Lizzie and another patient named Jane Shannon.
Oh, they teamed up.
According to Ward, Lizzie had approached her at the sink with a towel in her hands, appearing as though to offer it.
But
when Ward attempted to take the towel, Lizzie knocked her to the floor and Shannon held her down while Lizzie tried to stuff the towel into Ward's mouth.
Oh, fuck.
The two women then began kicking, punching, and scratching Ward, with Lizzie tearing out handfuls of the woman's hair.
Oh, God.
Fortunately, her cries for help drew another attendant, and with the help of two more people, Lizzie and Shannon were subdued. Initially, doctors believed Ward would die from her injuries. That's how brutal they beat her.
Holy shit.
But she was stabilized and recovered. Lizzie never said why she attacked her, but most assumed it was because Lizzie held a grudge against her because Ward had found Lizzie trying to pick her pockets a few weeks earlier.
Oh.
Now, Lizzie's bizarre and violent behavior continued after that. She would exhibit ongoing symptoms of psychosis a lot of the times. At this point, it was definitely more profound.
Well, when things go untreated for so long.
Yeah, they just get worse.
And I mean, who knows what they were treating like these symptoms with by then.
This came to a very tragic head in 1906 when Lizzie attacked and killed Nellie Wicks, the head ward at Matteawan.
Oh my God.
This is so fucked up. Unlike most of the other staff at Matteawan, Wicks treated the patients with respect and kindness. She believed they were deserving of compassion rather than scorn and abuse. As a result, Lizzie developed an extreme fondness for her, and Wicks was one of the only, if not the only, staff member that she would listen to. Mm-hmm. By that time, Lizzie was in seclusion, very isolated from the other patients, so her contact with other people was very limited.
Which is probably not great for somebody with her.
So
issues.
Wicks would likely have been one of the only few people she saw or spoke to on a regular basis, and was probably the only one who treated her with any respect. This attachment became a problem in 1906 when Wicks announced to her supervisors that she was engaged to be married and would be leaving her job.
Okay.
While the staff at Matteawan was happy for Wicks, they did warn her, Lizzie is not going to take this well. So she felt she knew Lizzie better than they did. She was like, no, it's fine. But she was like, I'll wait until my final week here to let her know. So when the final week came, Wicks went to Lizzie's room and told her she would be leaving the hospital at the end of the week. And Lizzie stared directly in her eyes and said, you won't leave me. So Wicks was like, I will be leaving by the end of the week. And Lizzie said, I wouldn't try it. Yeah.
Oh.
So Wicks was like, okay. And she just went about her day. She was like, she's clearly pissed, but like, it happened. So like, whatever. On the morning of September 27th, Lizzie followed Wicks into the women's bathroom. And once inside, she knocked Wicks to the floor. This part right here is where I say she knows what she's doing. She knocks Wicks to the floor, grabs her set of keys in the process, and as Wicks lay stunned on the floor, Lizzie locked the bathroom door and left the keys in the lock so they couldn't be unlocked from the other side.
Uh-huh.
She made sure no one could get in that room.
Yeah, that's cunning.
Returning to where Wicks was laying on the floor, Lizzie grabbed the scissors that Wicks kept on her belt and started stabbing her furiously.
Oh my God.
Nellie Wicks is screaming and trying to block the more than 200 stabs that she inflicted on her.
Holy shit.
200 stabs with scissors.
And this woman was the only woman who was kind to her and was engaged to be married and leaving.
Yeah. So the screams are drawing the attention of the other wards who ran to the bathroom.
But can't do anything.
They're trying to get in there, but they can't unlock the door. The keys are blocking them. So they're having to like break through the bathroom door. And by the time they did, they found Nellie unconscious and just
blood everywhere.
brutally bleeding heavily. Lizzie was subdued and removed to a cell while doctors tried to save Nellie's life. Unfortunately, she died from her injuries 2 hours later. She was going to be married. She was about to be married. That's why she was leaving the job.
And she was the only one who literally, like, actually was nice to Lizzie.
Later, when the superintendent at Matteawan asked Lizzie why she had done it, she smiled and said, she won't leave me now.
What?
Isn't that fucked up?
What is that logic?
Nellie Wicks was the first female corrections officer killed in the line of duty.
Wow.
But the horror of the staff at Matteawan was remaining throughout this. I mean, this changed everything.
Yeah.
But no charges were brought against Lizzie for the murder of Nellie Wicks.
That's completely unjustified.
But the Dutchess County coroner made a special appeal to the New York State, it was called the New York State Lunacy Commission.
Oh, man.
Asking them to authorize extended solitary confinement for Lizzie, which they did grant, and she would ultimately spend most of her remaining years isolated from everyone. Her physical and mental health continued to decline after the murder of Nellie Wicks, and it's pretty reasonable to assume she was probably not treated great after that.
Yeah. This really is one of those cases where you just think, like, maybe it would have been better to put her to death.
I have no idea. It's
that's why
because
I'm
you
not
think of where
fully
these places
anti.
are. Now, eventually, she was diagnosed with Bright's disease, which is a kidney disease that causes painful swelling and can be fatal.
Oh, okay.
In the fall of 1911, after an investigation into the safety and security of the hospital, new policies were implemented, including an easing of harsh punishment and isolation practices, which meant that Lizzie's extended solitary confinement finally came to an end after 5 years.
Wow.
She was in solitary confinement for 5 years. So now she's sick with chronic illness.
That's the thing, though, that you sit there and you think is like, isn't that more cruel than just ending somebody's life?
Probably. So she's sick with chronic illness. She's weak from years of self-abuse at this point. She no longer posed a threat to really anybody there. And she wasn't eligible for any special privileges either. She was allowed to return to living among the regular hospital population. That was about it. In 1915, she made the newspapers again, this time when she was discovered trying to hang herself in her room in Matteawan. On March 17th, hospital staff went into her room and found she had ripped a long strip from her bed sheet. They found her very near death, but they were able to resuscitate her. Lizzie Halliday made the news one final time on June 28th, 1918, when press around the country reported her death from Bright's disease at the age of 58. She was described as the worst woman in the world, and the New York Times noted the 4 deaths she had known to have committed, but reminded readers, quote, there was a strong suspicion that she had murdered several others, including a former husband and a peddler, which was what they had talked about with the travelers.
Yes, yes.
So there was strong suspicion that she was involved in several other murders than the 4 that they were able to know that she had done.
What a wild fucking case.
Isn't that bonkers?
Yeah. Holy shit.
Like, I had no idea.
Obviously all of the people that lost their lives is like, it breaks your heart. Was it
Nellie Wicks.
Nellie. That is, it's so tragic.
Oh, I was like, holy shit.
Wow.
So brutal. Like, so brutal and so sad because she was
Yeah.
about to be married, about to leave the job.
And like everyone said, like, oh,
yeah, and she believed in
her.
Lizzie enough to be like, I can talk to her about this and she'll handle it. You almost wish, and this was just her being a good person, you wish she just didn't tell her.
I know.
And just never
I know.
came back.
Wow. That is. Mm-hmm. That's a case where I feel they should have just put her to death when she had gotten that sentence, because the rest of her life was spent in fucking misery.
And another person lost their life.
And more people were assaulted, and then ultimately another person was killed.
Yeah, it's a rough one. It's tough. It's tough.
Wow.
But you know what? Let me give you a fun fact.
Please
to take
do.
all that away.
Please do.
During the run of the Golden Girls,
Yeah.
they dug into more than 100 cheesecakes.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah.
I love the Golden Girls.
Yeah. I love it.
Beautiful.
In fact, when Dorothy says, do you know how many problems we solved over a cheesecake at this kitchen table?
Over 100.
And she says, 147, Rose. She was pretty close.
That's a lot. That's a lot of problems solved over cheesecake.
Yeah.
Me, myself, not a cheesecake fan.
I love cheesecake personally, but
Not a
that's just
cheesecake
me.
girly.
I also love Dorothy.
I love Dorothy.
Yeah.
You are Dorothy.
I love that.
I'm
take
like
that.
a mixture of Rose. I'm like a mixture of Rose and Blanche, and you're kind of a mixture of Dorothy and Sophia.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. We make up the Golden Girls. Well, people, with that fun fact, we leave you, but we do hope you keep listening.
And we hope you
Keep it weird, but definitely not as weird as Lizzie Halliday, because holy fuck, that's a level of weirdness I hope to never achieve.
don't do it.
It wouldn't be an achievement even.
It's true.
Bye.
Struggling with bloat or indigestion? You're not alone. 2 out of 3 Americans suffer from poor gut health. I'm Tina Anderson, co-founder of Just Thrive Probiotic. As a mom of 3, when no probiotic solved my family's tummy troubles, I created my own. Just Thrive Probiotic is the only probiotic that arrives 100% alive in your gut, supporting 5-star digestion, immunity, and better sleep. We even have a formula for pets. Use code SIRIUS for 20% off at justthrivehealth.com/serious.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. From roof repair to emergency plumbing and more, when you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Angie, the one you trust to find the ones you trust. Find a pro for your project at Angie.com.